Hi everyone, it's Jer here and welcome back to the Business English podcast from Learning English Pro. And today's episode is special, not just because it's our final episode of interview month, but because it ties everything together. This is your ultimate interview cheat sheet. If you've been following along, we've already tackled some of the toughest questions you'll get in interviews. From what's your greatest weakness to why do you want to work here? And even tell me about a time you failed. You've got a strong foundation now. Today, we build on that with 3 more high impact questions, each answered with the STAR method. And we finish up with 10 tips that will help you elevate how you speak, act, and present yourself in an English speaking interview, whether you're applying in the US, the UK, Australia, Ireland, South Africa, or anywhere in between. If you're one of my valued student members, you've already got access to the interview cheat sheet. It's a complete guide, 30 pages, ready for you right now. Inside, you'll find all 10 core interview questions from this series, fully scripted with STAR examples and language notes. If you're a student member, you get early access to lessons, exclusive guides, and access to my archive of 200 English lessons. If you're not a member yet and want to join, the link is in the video description. And the interview cheat sheet is available to purchase as a one-time download. It's available in my YouTube store. It's tagged with this video and linked in the video description. So with all that business out of the way, let's dive into our final 3 questions and how we're going to answer them using the STAR method that we covered in the last episode. The first question we'll cover today is, tell me about a time you had to learn something quickly. This is a popular one in fast-paced working environments. Why do they ask this question? Well, this question tests your learning agility, a top skill according to the Harvard Business Review. Companies like Google actively screen for it. They want to know, are you the kind of person who thrives under pressure, who adapts fast when things change? What does the question reveal for the interviewer? Well, it tells them how you manage under unfamiliar situations, how resourceful and independent you are, and if you're a problem solver or someone who panics under pressure. This question can be asked in a few different ways. There's a few different variations on how it might be put to you. Let's check them out. Tell me about a steep learning curve you faced. When did you last teach yourself something new for a project? How do you keep your skills up to date? In North America, interviewers expect confidence. You could say something like, I picked up coding in a weekend. In Ireland or the UK, humility goes further. You could say, I leaned on the support from the team and it paid off. In Asia or Latin America, collaboration may be more valued than independence. So with all of this in mind, it's time to answer the interview question. Tell me about a time you had to learn something quickly. So let's build our STAR answer, thinking about the situation, the task, the action, and the result. Here's how I would answer this. Last year, I was working in a small marketing agency. One of our senior consultants left suddenly, and I was asked to take over their client portfolio for the quarterly review with just 5 days to prepare. I had to learn a completely unfamiliar reporting system and deliver a client presentation for a 1.2 million account. I started by reviewing past reports and watching every internal training video we had. I booked time with the outgoing consultant to walk through key issues. I created flashcards to memorize terminology and even practice mock presentations with a colleague. And not only did the interview go smoothly, the client actually commented on how clearly the data was presented. 2 months later, we renewed the account for another year, and I was officially promoted into the role. So that is our professional answer, and it's a great basis for you to use yourself. You can paraphrase and use this as you need to. Key words, terms, or collocations you could use here would be upskill, adapted quickly, self-directed, or immersed myself? Now tell me, have you ever had to learn something fast on the job? Tell me in the comments and I might feature your story in a future video. So let's move on to question 2. Tell me about a time you had a conflict at work. This next one is all about people skills. And why do they ask this question? Well, every team has conflict, but how you handle it says a lot about your maturity, your empathy, and leadership potential. Recruiters are listening for your emotional intelligence. And to recruiters and interviewers, this question reveals if you escalate conflict or if you can resolve it. Can you listen without reacting? And do you know how to build professional relationships even under pressure? So, what other ways might this question be asked? Have you ever disagreed with a team decision? What's the most difficult team dynamic you've faced? Tell me about a time you had to give tough feedback. In America, assertiveness is valued, so showing that you took initiative to fix the issue plays well. In the UK or Ireland, it's more common to show diplomacy and tact. And in international contexts, you might focus on team harmony over individual confrontation. So, it's time for our star answer to the question, tell me about a time you had a conflict at work. Remember, we're thinking about situation, task, action, and result for structuring our answer. Here we go. I was managing a project with a cross-functional team, and one team member consistently missed deadlines, which was affecting the rest of us. I needed to address the issue in a way that didn't create tension, but also protected the timeline. Instead of emailing or escalating it, I invited them for a one-on-one coffee chat. I used I statements to explain how the delays were impacting our shared goals. I asked if anything was preventing them from staying on track, and it turned out they'd been given conflicting deadlines from another manager. We realigned timelines, improved communication across departments, and finished the project ahead of schedule. That same person later nominated me for a collaboration award at our company. This is a really great answer. It has a nice flow and it tells a story with a nice ending. Useful phrases that you can use when answering this question include maintained professionalism, focused on shared outcomes, led with empathy, and de-escalated tension. Now tell me, because I want to hear from you, if you've had a workplace conflict that taught you something, drop it in the comments. I promise we've all been there. Now we're barreling along to question number 3. What are you most proud of in your career? Now let's finish strong. This is a values question. What you choose to talk about shows what drives you. So what is it? Is it impact, creativity, leadership, or problem solving? It tells the interviewer what motivates you, how you define success, and whether your priorities match the role at hand. So, how else could this question be put to you? Alternate forms include, what's your biggest achievement? What legacy have you created in your previous roles? Tell us something you're really proud of. In the US, speaking with pride is a sign of leadership. In Ireland or the UK, it's often balanced with modesty. I was part of a great team. So it's time to answer our final interview question. And if you've listened to the entire series so far, this will be the 6th question that we cover. And yes, we're using the STAR method to answer once more. So the question is, what are you most proud of in your career? Let's answer it. A few years ago, I worked for a non-profit organization that relied heavily on donations. At the time, donor engagement was dropping and we were at risk of closing 2 programs. My goal was to boost donor involvement and create a new strategy to re-engage supporters. I introduced a digital storytelling campaign combining emotional case studies with interactive email journeys. I collaborated with the design team, wrote donor narratives, and scheduled a series of feedback surveys to adjust our approach. Over 4 months, donor retention jumped by 72%, and we secured funding for both programs. That campaign later became a case study shared by 3 other nonprofits, and it's something I still share with pride. Some really great key vocabulary and terms you can use when answering this question include legacy, impact, strategy, cross functional, metrics driven, and purpose led. Now it's over to you. What's your proudest professional moment? Post in the comments. I want to see how you frame it. Don't forget to get your copy of the guide that accompanies this lesson. My business interview cheat sheet is packed with all the resources you need to excel at your English speaking interview. It covers the top 10 questions asked in business interviews and gives you 2 sample answers for each question. It's an essential guide for those preparing for an interview. It's even great for mother tongues. As I mentioned, you can pick up your copy as a member of my student membership, or if you want to purchase it as a one-off, head to my YouTube store. Everything is linked in the video description. So now that you have your powerful STAR answers in your toolkit, let's shift gears. I want to give you 10 real-world and genuinely powerful tips that can completely shift how you show up in interviews. Think of these as my secret sauce. These are my personal tips that I've put together over my years of coaching people through business English interviews. And these aren't your typical tips. This is not dress smart and be polite stuff. We're going deeper than that. This is based on real interviews, real business coaching, and combined with feedback from recruiters I've worked with. These are practical and totally usable, even if your interview is tomorrow. So let's count them down from 10, with number 1 being the most important. At number 10, my tip is don't script it, structure it. I have seen so many candidates trying to memorize answers like actors learning lines, and it always sounds unnatural. The best interviews feel like confident conversations, not speeches. Make sure to use a framework and a structure like the STAR method. It will give you safety. Scripting kills your spontaneity. Instead, map your answers out. Situation, task, action, and result. Keep that in your head and then speak from that structure. One recruiter told me, I don't want a performance. I want a person I can trust in a real situation. Tip number 9. Own your pauses. Silence doesn't have to be awkward. It can be powerful. When you get a difficult question, take a second, breathe, think. It shows poise and it shows confidence, and it makes you look emotionally intelligent. A Harvard Business Review study found that candidates who paused before speaking were consistently rated as more credible, even when the content was the same. So remember, don't rush to fill the silence. Let it work for you. Number 8. Use numbers, even if you're not in sales. Data makes you memorable. Things like, I helped improve team communication is fine, but what sounds really good is, I reduced onboarding time by 30% by redesigning our training. This is unforgettable. Whether you're in nursing, admin, customer service, or creative roles, get some numbers and get some data. This will give you proof of impact. Think time saved, people helped, results improved, cost results. Use real numbers where possible. Number 7. It's all about dress code. Dress for their brand, not just the role. This is where culture and research matter. A sharp suit might work for corporate finance, but in a tech startup, it could make you look out of place. The key is to reflect the brand's tone while still showing you've made an effort. I always say, dress like you work there already, but on their most important day. In creative industries, that might mean a bold pair of glasses and a great posture. In conservative sectors, it might mean minimal colour, polished shoes, and simplicity. You need to understand and know your audience. Tip number 6, answer the real question. Every interview question has a surface meaning and a deeper one. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This sounds like a dreamer's question, but really they want to know, are you sticking around? Are you serious about this job? So when you prepare, ask yourself, what's the question behind the question? One of my students recently said, I realized they weren't asking if I had ambition. They were asking if I'd fit the company. And that's it exactly. We're halfway through our top 10 at number 5. Give them language they can reuse. Great candidates know how to speak in headlines, short, memorable phrases that stick. Instead of saying something like, I have a good mix of creativity and commercial focus, say, I believe in strategic creativity, making bold ideas profitable. And with a phrase like this, you've just handed the interviewer a tagline they can quote when they're discussing you internally. I've heard hiring managers say things like, you know that guy who said strategic creativity? I liked him. Speak in phrases that frame you and make you memorable. Tip number 4, use the final question wisely. You know the one, do you have any questions for us? This isn't just a formality, it's your moment to flip the script and interview them. Don't ask, what's the salary range? Instead ask, what's been the biggest win for your team this year? Or something like, what does success look like in the first 90 days? Show that you're curious, you're informed, and you're forward thinking. The former CEO of PepsiCo, Indra Nooyi, once said, the best employees are the ones who think like owners, not tenants. Show that you already see yourself there. Okay, we're into our top 3. Tip number 3, interview like a peer, not a pleaser. This is such a huge one, and it's something that non-native speakers often struggle with. When English isn't your first language, it's easy to go into please like me mode, but remember, you're not there to beg for a job. You're there to explore a mutual fit. Speak with self-respect, make eye contact and sit tall. Smile when appropriate, but also ask questions. Push gently on vague answers. Make it a conversation, not a quiz. When you see yourself as a peer, they will too. Tip number 2. Every interview has a hidden theme. Sometimes it's resilience, sometimes it's growth mindset, and sometimes it's team culture. And once you notice it, you can weave it into everything you say. Let's say they've asked about learning, failure, leadership, and culture. The hidden theme might be adaptability. So you start highlighting that quality again and again through different stories and phrases. This subtle technique is one of the things that senior candidates do without even realizing it. And now you can do it too. So we are at the end. Tip number 1, my most important tip. And it's all about remembering your power. You're interviewing them too. This is the one I want you to take away with you. You are not powerless in this process. You are choosing them as much as they are choosing you. Walk into that interview with quiet confidence and a sense of your own value. If something feels off, ask questions. If they undervalue your time, your expertise, or your boundaries, take that seriously. Interviews are like first dates. If they show you who they are early, believe them. This is your time, your career, and your life. So there you have it. 10 powerful, practical interview tips that go beyond the basics. These are the things that will help you stand out, sound natural, and walk in with confidence, not just the language. If one of these tips hit home for you, drop it in the comments. I want to hear from you right now. Or tell me which one are you going to try in your next interview. And of course, if you want the full business interview cheat sheet, including the top 10 questions asked in interviews with 2 sample answers for each question and all the tips covered today for you to review. It's a great little checklist for you when you're preparing for an interview. And if you're a student member, the guide is waiting for you over on the membership tab. If you want to join, you'll get access to all my past PDFs as well, plus 200 plus lessons and early access to videos. The link to join is in the video description. If you want to purchase the guide as a one-off, you can head over to the YouTube store. That is linked in the video description as well. And that brings us to the end of interview month here on the Business English podcast. You've made it through 5 full episodes of deep dive interview training. And whether you're preparing for your first English language interview or your 50th, you now have a complete system you can rely on. We've talked about weaknesses, failures, ambition, values, and today, how to leave your final impression with power. So let me say this clearly, you are ready. So what's next for the Business English podcast? I'm delighted to announce that the next batch of podcast episodes will be dedicated to money in business, how to speak confidently about salaries, bonuses, and value, what to say in salary negotiations and review meetings, how to discuss pricing, invoices, contracts, and profit in clear professional English, and how to use soft skills and emotional intelligence when talking about money. And don't worry if you're still hungry for more interview tips. The first episode in the Money in Business series includes a special segment on how to talk about salary expectations during interviews and reviews, so you'll get the best of both worlds. And for my student members, there's lots more content coming your way, lots more PDF, guides, and worksheets. So if this episode helped you, hit subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who's preparing for their next career move or is interested in advanced business English. And tell me in the comments, what was the most useful part of this series for you? Thanks for joining me for Interview Month. I'm Jer from Learning English Pro, and I'll see you next Monday for lots more business English.